Swine, cattle, carabao, goat, chicken, and duck. These are the most common livestock and poultry raised in both backyard and commercial farms in the Philippines. They primarily represent the animal production sector of Philippine agriculture, although in the past years, other animals like sheep, quails, and horses are gaining much popularity. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, in terms of production, pork is the most consistently produced, followed by chicken eggs, cattle, and then the carabao. Having that in mind, earlier this year, the PSA was able to report a rapid inflation of livestock and poultry products in the commercial inventory. Though, with a 13.39% combined increase from cattle, swine, and chicken, it still wasn't sufficient enough to sustain the 108.12 million Filipino population. This is partly due to the unwavering consumption of meat by Filipinos. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development confirms that the average Filipino consumes about 14.2 kilograms of pork, which is 2 kilos more than the average pork consumption of the world. It also comprises 60% of the total meat consumption for Filipinos. And that's what makes the swine production industry the largest livestock industry in the country. However, with pork being the staple meat for consumption by Filipinos and it being vulnerable to diseases caused by viruses, is food safety still guaranteed among the public? Over the last 5 years, a couple of swine diseases have been recorded to spread and some had even caused an outbreak. Porcine epidemic diarrhea, salmonellosis, and iletis are gastrointestinal disorders otherwise known as enteric diseases. These are caused by fecal to oral contact of swine, that if left untreated, it can result to an undernourished, dehydrated pigs, and possible deaths. The African swine fever, however, has been quite the talk of the town lately, as an outbreak had ensued which all started at Rizal Province back in early September of the year. The main reason is that hog raisers are letting their swine feed on contaminated waste food products that came all the way from Manila. Though, Agriculture Secretary William Dar adds that the virus could have come from frozen infected meat coming from overseas, which is either smuggled or brought into the country by overseas Filipino workers. Although with the outbreak causing the mortality rate of swine to hike up, the National Meat Inspection Service assures the public that African swine fever is not generally a health threat to humans, though they can still be carriers of the virus. But while humans are not affected by the virus, the swine undergo cases of high fever and lose their appetite as well as form hemorrhages in the skin and internal organs. Once the symptoms of ASF occur on the swine, it only takes 2 to 10 days before they eventually die. In line with this outbreak, the supplies of pork is affected and is deemed to be scarce until the first 4 months of the next year, 2020. This will cause a huge loss from the 260 billion pesos swine industry of the country, because the industry serves as livelihood for most Filipino families who make up 65% of the industry as small backyard raisers. And so with the billions of pesos at stake all because of lack of preparedness, the government is quick to carry out solutions and hopefully prevent these cases in the future. Amidst ASF outbreak, the government sends out tissue samples from infected pigs to the laboratories in the United Kingdom to be able to identify the causes of death of the pigs. They were able to confirm that it was indeed ASF, although the particular strand of virus was yet to be determined. Along with this, the government implemented the 1710 protocol, wherein within 1 kilometer radius of farms that have possible cases of ASF are quarantined checkpoints and all the pigs in the area are called. In 7-kilometer radius, authorities conduct surveillance and any transportation of swine in and out from there is limited. While in the 10-kilometer radius, hog raisers are required to report if their pigs are showing any symptoms of the disease. The government has also banned pork imports from countries affected with ASF, and swill feeding or feeding of food scraps to pigs is now highly discouraged. And as far as prevention goes, biosecurity is brought up as the best solution since it limits the movement of infectious diseases among the animals. In a biosecurity program, swill feeding is prohibited. The farm location and separation from other animals is considered, wherein it should keep enough distance from other piggeries and animals. Biosecurity also requires controlled access to the farm, whether it be visitors, the staff, or even vehicles, since humans can also be carriers of influenza. Now, once a good biosecurity program is established, it all goes back to the government to implement a stricter quality standard for livestock before it reaches the market so that food security is ensured for the consumers.